Japan is a country that often fascinates the world with its culture, its discipline, its food, and its technology. But one quiet statistic stands above everything else. Scattered across its islands are more than 90,000 people who have crossed the age of 100. They live in villages, in cities, by the mountains, and along the sea, and they are part of a demographic phenomenon that scientists still marvel at. These elders aren't just surviving to old age. Many of them are thriving. They walk steadily, think clearly, cook their own meals, maintain their gardens, visit their neighbors, and wake up without the aches, fog, and stiffness that so many people elsewhere accept as unavoidable after 50. When you compare this to countries like the United States, where billions of dollars flow every year into gyms, supplements, diets, wearable tech, and anti-aging products, the contrast is startling. Despite this enormous health industry, chronic pain, fatigue, balance problems, and memory decline continue to affect the majority of people past middle age. So the question becomes almost impossible to ignore: how are the Japanese managing to age so differently? At first glance, the answer seems obvious. People often credit sushi, green tea, or what they imagine to be a perfectly balanced traditional diet. Others say it must be genetics. Some point to the social culture, the sense of community, or the lower levels of processed food. All of these factors matter, yes. But when teams of researchers across Japan began conducting long-term observations of their oldest citizens, they discovered something they did not expect. They did not just look at medical records or family histories. They watched how these elders moved in their daily lives. They recorded the way they walked to the market, how they prepared tea, how they cleaned their homes, how they rested, how they transitioned from sitting to standing, how they breathed while climbing stairs, even how they positioned their bodies when talking with a neighbor. And one insight kept emerging again and again. These elders were not performing strenuous workouts, nor were they forcing themselves through intense exercise routines. Instead, their bodies were constantly nourished by a handful of natural, simple, almost invisible movements done every single day. Movements so basic that many modern people overlook them entirely. The more these movements were studied, the clearer the pattern became. Western exercise culture often glorifies high intensity, sweat, strain, and effort, but these Japanese elders were doing the opposite. Their bodies were staying alive, mobile, and resilient through gentle, repetitive habits passed down across generations. These movements required no equipment, no gym membership, no special clothing, not even a dedicated workout time. They were simply woven into daily life, performed casually, almost unconsciously, yet they were stimulating the nervous system, improving circulation, protecting joints, and reinforcing balance in ways that even conventional workouts often fail to do. Researchers using modern imaging and tracking tools found that these slow and deliberate movements activated deep postural muscles that many people never use. They reawakened stabilizers around the hips, ankles, spine, and shoulders. They encouraged controlled breathing patterns that improved heart rhythm and mental clarity. In some cases, just 2 minutes of one of these movements was found repeatedly among elders who outlived their peers by years, sometimes by nearly a decade. One of the most fascinating examples of this is the Japanese practice of slow walking, known locally in various forms but commonly described as a gentle, mindful walk performed at half the normal pace. It is not exercise in the Western sense of the word. There is no push for speed, no race against time, no loud breathing or strain. Instead, the walker moves quietly, attentively, allowing each step to roll fully from heel to arch to toe. The breath is controlled to create a calming rhythm. The nervous system settles. The muscles become active but not tense. Many elders begin their mornings in exactly this way, stepping outside at dawn, walking gently through a garden, a street, a shrine pathway, or even just around their home, allowing their minds and bodies to wake up in harmony. And because the movement is slow, the feet engage the ground with greater sensitivity. The brain receives clearer signals from the balance system. Small stabilizer muscles around the ankles and hips fire automatically to maintain control, rebuilding the foundation of balance that often weakens with age. This slow walking habit may look effortless, but subtly it becomes one of the most powerful longevity practices of all. Researchers who monitored elders who maintained this ritual found that they consistently showed better blood pressure, smoother nervous system activity, clearer cognitive scores, and lower arterial stiffness. It is not the pace of the walk that makes it transformative. It is the control, the breath, and the engagement of the entire lower body with each quiet step. Many elders report that their minds feel sharper, their moods more stable, and their coordination more secure after weeks of practicing slow walking. And what's remarkable is that none of this requires strain. It is movement that restores rather than depletes. Another daily habit woven deeply into Japanese culture is a brief morning ritual broadcast across the country, a gentle sequence of movements practiced by millions. It is a flowing routine of easy stretches, bends, lifts, and rotations performed without intensity or pain. The movements are rhythmic and continuous. Even children in schoolyards start their day with this simple routine. Office workers perform it before beginning their shift. Elders do it after waking, some on their porches, some in community parks, and many in small local groups. There is a remarkable sense of unity in this shared ritual. But what makes it even more powerful is how effectively it wakes the joints, increases circulation, and maintains the body's natural range of motion. When researchers observed adults who performed these gentle movements daily for years, they found significantly lower rates of falls, less stiffness, fewer reports of lower back discomfort, and better mobility in the shoulders and hips deep into old age. The science behind it is simple but profound. As the body moves smoothly through these gentle arcs and rotations, synovial fluid, the natural lubricant inside every joint, begins to warm and circulate. Muscles lengthen without strain. The spine decompresses subtly. The body transitions from the stiffness of sleep into the freedom of wakefulness. This few-minute ritual acts like a reset button, preparing the body for the entire day ahead. Instead of diving immediately into stress, noise, or intense activity, the body is invited to wake gently. There is a softness to the practice, a kind of quiet respect for the body that modern exercise culture often overlooks. Another striking habit found across Japan, though especially visible among older adults, is the ability to sit comfortably in a deep squat. In many Western countries, this posture has almost vanished from daily life, replaced by chairs, couches, car seats, and office desks. As a result, the hips tighten, the ankles lose mobility, the lower back becomes compressed, and the pelvis weakens. But in Japan, and in many cultures with long histories of floor-based living, the deep squat is not an exercise. It is simply a way of resting. Elders can be seen chatting with neighbors from this position, tending to their garden, cleaning their homes, or simply pausing to rest. This posture, however natural it appears, has extraordinary benefits. It opens the hips, strengthens the pelvic floor, aligns the spine, and forces the ankles to maintain a level of mobility that protects against falls and knee pain later in life. Observations over the years have shown that elders who maintain the deep squat posture tend to walk more smoothly, maintain better balance, and avoid the rapid deterioration of hip mobility that affects so many adults after 50. It is not about achieving some perfect athletic pose. It is about preserving the way the human body was designed to rest long before chairs existed. Balance, mobility, and independence. These three qualities determine how gracefully a person ages, and in Japan, they are preserved through habits, so subtle that most people overlook their power. One of the most fascinating examples is the daily practice of standing on one leg, a movement so simple that many people laugh when they first hear about it. Yet, when researchers began observing older adults who performed this small ritual every day, they noticed remarkable differences. These individuals experienced fewer falls, showed stronger hips and ankles, and demonstrated surprisingly sharp neural coordination. When a person lifts 1 foot off the ground, even by just an inch, the body immediately begins making tiny adjustments to stay balanced. Muscles around the core, hips, knees, and ankles activate together. Sensory nerves in the feet send signals upward to the brain. The inner ear begins fine-tuning stability. In these brief moments, the entire balance system lights up. What makes this even more powerful is that balancing on one leg stimulates areas of the brain responsible for coordination and neurological resilience. For older adults, regularly practicing this small movement can help preserve the brain's ability to adapt, react, and stay aware, abilities that often decline silently with age. Many Japanese elders incorporate this practice into their daily routines effortlessly. Some do it while brushing their teeth. Others do it while waiting for tea water to boil, or while talking on the phone. Because the movement requires almost no effort, they can perform it multiple times a day without strain. Over time, this tiny habit creates a kind of invisible armor around the body, strengthening the very systems responsible for preventing fractures, falls, and sudden loss of mobility. The key is not intensity, but consistency. The body responds best to frequent, gentle activation, and this movement offers exactly that. Another daily habit woven into Japanese life is the constant act of transitioning to and from the floor. Unlike Western cultures where chairs dominate every living space, Japanese homes traditionally encourage floor sitting on cushions or low mats. Meals may be eaten near the floor. Conversations take place there. Games, hobbies, and moments of rest often happen there too. This naturally requires people to move from standing to sitting and back again many times throughout the day. What seems like an ordinary motion is actually a complex full-body activity engaging the legs, core, spine, and coordination centers of the brain. When researchers began paying attention to this transition, they noticed that older adults who could sit down on the floor and rise again without using their hands tended to remain more independent for many years longer. The movement demands balance, lower body strength, spatial awareness, and controlled breathing. It becomes a built-in assessment of how the body is aging. For people who stop using this movement, the body gradually loses the ability. The hips tighten, the quadriceps weaken, the lower back compensates, and eventually strains. But for those who continue practicing even small variations of this floor transition, the body remains flexible, strong, and responsive. What makes this habit particularly meaningful is that it reflects the essence of functional aging, the ability to move through daily life without assistance. It is not about athletic performance, it is about preserving autonomy. Even practicing assisted versions, using cushions or a stable object for support, can gradually rebuild the strength required for this movement. With time, the body remembers what it once knew naturally. Among the most quietly powerful habits found in Japanese longevity culture is the practice of twisting the torso with controlled resistance. Traditionally, this is done using a simple cloth or towel held with both hands. The individual stretches their arms forward at shoulder height, gently pulls outward to create tension, and rotates the torso side to side in slow, deliberate motions. This modest routine awakens deep stabilizing muscles that rarely activate during ordinary activities. These muscles, buried beneath the superficial layers of the abdomen and back, are responsible for maintaining posture, protecting the spine, and keeping the entire body coordinated as it moves. With age, these stabilizers weaken quickly, leading to imbalance, back discomfort, and reduced mobility. Yet, by engaging them through a gentle twisting motion paired with steady breath, the body develops a stronger foundation without strain or pressure. Researchers observing older adults who practiced this towel twist daily often noticed unexpected cognitive benefits as well. Rotational movements, especially when combined with mild resistance and controlled breathing, stimulate communication between both hemispheres of the brain. This enhances coordination, improves reaction time, and helps maintain mental clarity. For older adults, this becomes far more than a physical exercise. It becomes a neurological tune-up. Practiced routinely, even for 2 minutes a day, this movement can improve posture, relieve tension in the spine, support digestion, and create a sense of ease throughout the body. These Japanese movement habits share one essential principle. Aging well is less about pushing the body and more about awakening it. Instead of exhausting the muscles, they energize them. Instead of overwhelming the joints, they nourish them. Instead of stressing the nervous system, they harmonize it. They prove that longevity is not built on intensity or force, but on gentle, purposeful repetition. And perhaps what makes them so effective is that they are not treated as workouts. They are woven into the ordinary rhythm of life, allowing the body to stay active, alert, and adaptable every single day. And as this natural rhythm of healing unfolds, something even more beautiful begins to happen inside the body. Alignment between mind, mood, and rest. Many seniors share that for years they felt as if their thoughts were heavier at night, as if the worries of the entire day clung to them even when they wanted nothing more than peace. But when the body receives consistent nourishment from gentle herbs, the mind slowly relearns a forgotten language, the language of calm. Researchers working on age-related stress patterns often mention that when the nervous system gets steady support, it stops overreacting to small triggers. This is why people begin noticing subtle shifts first, feeling a little less irritated, a little less overwhelmed, a little less tired from thinking too much. Over time, these small shifts start weaving together like threads, forming a stronger fabric. Seniors who once struggled with restless nights often describe a surprising rediscovery: the ability to fall asleep without fighting for it. They talk about their breath naturally slowing down, about their shoulders dropping without effort, about their hearts feeling lighter, as if someone quietly lifted a weight they didn't realize they were carrying. This relief doesn't come from force. It comes from allowing the body to work the way it was designed to. And when herbs like moringa and turmeric continue supporting this internal harmony, the body gradually enters a cycle of healing that works both day and night. But the most remarkable part, and something researchers repeatedly emphasize, is how these natural supports begin influencing emotional resilience. Seniors who once felt emotionally drained often say they wake up with a clearer sense of direction. Morning fatigue, which used to follow them like a shadow, begins to fade. There is a renewed feeling of "I can do this," even in the simplest tasks. A sense of hope quietly returns. This emotional shift isn't accidental. It's connected to how the brain responds when inflammation, stress, hormones, and nighttime disruptions decrease. When the body rests properly, the mind gains strength. When the mind calms down, the heart feels lighter. And when the heart feels lighter, life begins to feel possible again. This renewed clarity brings another unexpected blessing: a more stable appetite and improved digestion. Seniors often underestimate how closely sleep, mood, and digestion are connected. Researchers studying aging populations note that when the body experiences calmer sleep cycles, the digestive system becomes more efficient, the metabolism steadier, and the absorption of nutrients smoother. People describe feeling normal again, not overly hungry, not losing appetite, just balanced. And with this balance comes a slow return of vitality, the kind that doesn't burst loudly but grows quietly, like the sun rising behind thick clouds. As this transformation unfolds, daily mobility becomes easier too. When inflammation begins settling down, and nighttime repair finally happens as it should, the body moves differently. Seniors say they wake up with less stiffness, knees feel warmer, the back feels more supported, the shoulders loosen without painful stretching. Researchers often point out that sleep is the body's natural repair technician. When sleep improves, even slightly, the body uses the night to reduce swelling, restore tissues, and stabilize joints. That's why these gentle herbs feel like companions. They don't work by overpowering the body, but by helping it restore what age has slowly taken. At this stage, many seniors begin noticing something they almost forgot: joy in the small moments. The morning sunlight feels softer. A cup of tea tastes richer. Breathing feels easier. These are the signs of an internal shift, not a surface-level change. They show the body is finally receiving what it has needed for years: steady nourishment, calm nights, peaceful mornings, and a sense of inner alignment. And when these patterns sustain over weeks, seniors often describe a deeper emotional awakening, clarity returning, memory improving, thoughts becoming sharper. Researchers studying cognitive support in older adults repeatedly highlight that improved sleep quality combined with reduced inflammation creates ideal conditions for mental vitality. Eventually, this journey becomes less about herbs and more about rediscovering oneself. Seniors begin trusting their bodies again. They feel in control rather than helpless. They describe nights that feel restful, mornings that feel hopeful, and days that feel lighter. This is the magic of gentle, natural support, working quietly, deeply, consistently, not to change life, but to help the body return to the harmony it always sought.